I am a youth, and I have a good life. Or that's what I believe. Let's take a look. I love listening to good music. I go frequently out with friends, and we love trying new things. Although, it doesn't always turn out good. Is that why I finished my ex? No, it can't be. I told myself I hated playing online, but there's just this one level I cannot pass. And outside of that, I should be maybe studying or working. But if I fail, is it possible that I can triumph? Should I have a purpose? Right? Could I be a youth that's successful? Welcome to the second topic from the Successful Youth series, presented by the Rescue Project. It's a joy for me to speak to the young people and reminisce about this beautiful stage in life. I'm a public lecturer, Pablo Hunger, speaking to you from the outskirts of Washington, D.C., USA. Today's topic is entitled, Life is Not a Game. Having fun and playing is not only part of our childhood, but also of our youth years. Fun and play are part of every young person's life. Even adults enjoy moments of fun and play. Movies, video games, and online game entertainment is a big attraction for these teens and young people. But can a video game affect my future? Or affect my success at life? The alarming thing is that in many cases, these video games have changed from being a fun activity to becoming a vice. Here are the personal stories of some young people. One said, looking back, it's pretty clear that I had a problem with the video games. I started sleeping less and found myself not enjoying life as much. As a result, I became depressed and anxious. Someone else said, I was tired of playing games from 18 to 24 hours straight from Friday afternoon to Saturday afternoon, and then 16 hours on Sunday. I was tired of going home after work and playing for 6 hours and not sleeping. I was tired of feeling numb afterwards and turning to pornography to feel a little more alive. I was tired of not eating 3 meals every day. Another young man named Jose, who started playing at the age of 8 with free MMOs, said that when he became a teenager, he would wake up late, skip classes, skip showers, played video games. It was like a literal drug he took to numb himself. The same young man said, I was embarrassed to be seen and smelled in such a state, so I left my room less and less. I locked myself in, and all I did was play, and play, and play. Another young man said, I felt like I had been wasting my life in virtual world, while the real world was waiting for me. So when I started experiencing suicidal thoughts, I knew I needed help. Until the point where I had reached with playing games. The young people listening, if you are also involved in video games, maybe even identify with some of these testimonials and experiencing similar challenges, then it's very important that you take time and listen to this presentation. The truth is that you are not trying to play and have fun in life, but rather are making life as a game and thus are in grave danger. If you want to be a successful young person, you must very carefully consider this aspect of life. For example, one of the League of Legends' best known professional player, Jian Qiao, also known as Mado or Utsi, who left the game due to his type 2 diabetes diagnosis and other health-related issues resulting from a fatty diet and a lack of exercise, attributed these health consequences to excessive gaming. Jian Qiao said, I regret to inform everyone that I am taking the decision to retire. The doctor has informed me that if I continue, there will be more serious complications. He was suffering from diabetes already. Video games have become one of the world's favorite pastimes. According to 2021 statistics, there are almost 3 billion players worldwide, and the prevalence of games continues to grow every year. However, gaming is not exempt from controversy. Video game critics emphasize that the cons of video games still outweigh the pros, as we saw in the case of John Chow. The first and biggest problem with video gaming is that they easily make you addicted. Video game addiction is a growing problem. The World Health Organization has recognized gambling disorder as a real mental health condition, and the global prevalence for this mental health condition is found in 3 to 4% of gamers. Considering that there are almost 3 billion players worldwide, the numbers of addiction players is estimated to be between 90 and 100 million. Yes, that's 100 million addicts. The population of many countries. One of the main reasons behind this video game addiction pandemic is that video games are designed to be addictive. They provide instant gratification and encourage players to keep playing every day. Players who play every day can even receive bonuses and special rewards to encourage them to play even more. But the concept of addictive video games is even more complicated. They manipulate various aspects of our psychology, such as progression of our character in the game, which replaces real-life personal development to a fake fantasy-like life, or microtransactions and in-app purchases encourage you to keep spending more money on matters that are worthless in real life. Socializing virtually with other players replaces real-world friendships and connections, and many more things. Once a video game becomes an addiction, it will affect your professional life, personal development, and interpersonal relationship. The American Academy of Psychiatry for Children and Adolescents wrote an article titled "Video Games and Children Playing with Violence." Playing video games has become a popular activity for people of all ages. On average, girls spend more than an hour a day playing video games, and boys spend more than 2 hours. Teens often spend even more time gaming than younger children. Video games have become very sophisticated and realistic. While some games have educational content, many of the most popular games emphasize negative themes and promote the killing of people or animals, drug or alcohol use and abuse, criminal conduct, disrespect for authority and the law, sexual exploitation and violence against women, racial and sexual gender stereotypes, foul language and obscene gestures. What influences do this leave to the youth? Studies of children exposed to violent media have shown that they become insensitive to violence, mimic violence, and display more aggressive behaviors. Younger children and those with emotional, behavioral, or learning problems may be more influenced by violent images. Spending too much time gaming can lead to less time socializing with friends and family, poor social skills, time away from family time, schoolwork, and other hobbies, or they're occupied with video games, lower grades, less reading, less exercise resulting in increased weight, decreased sleep, and poor quality sleep, aggressive thoughts and behaviors. Some tips given by the articles are: have preschoolers avoid video games, especially in children who are small. Establish clear rules about games, content, and playtime, both inside and outside the home. Allow video games only to be conducted in public areas of the home, not in the bedroom, so all can see what he's doing. Apply total screen time limits. Make sure video games are only played after homework and housework chores are done. Encourage participation in other activities, including physical activities or playing outside in the nature. Doing physical work. Do work and recreational games with parents. Play with good friends, but not video games, but physical activities. Other tips for older youth are: consider disconnecting when you get home from work, at dinner, and while driving, so you're not playing while driving. Look for other methods of relaxation and entertainment, such as taking a walk, playing a game, inviting visitors, or reading a book. Making a balance between the screen time and activities that require in-person social interaction, such as family activities or extracurricular activities. Create structured screen-free schedules, such as during meals, in the morning, and before bedtime. Keep screens out of the bedrooms. All devices must be charged outside the rooms at night, so they don't have the temptation to play. The famous Mayo Clinic, I'm not sure if you heard of it, famous clinic that practices clinical practice, education, and research, in its article, "Are Video Games and Screens an Addiction?" wrote the following: too much screen time has been linked to obesity, lack of sleep or insomnia, behavioral problems including impulsive actions, loss of social skills, violence, less time to play, sore eyes, neck and back problems, anxiety, depression, difficulties with work or school. Many people have cried, laughed, or been surprised while watching a movie. This is because their brains process and react to sensory input as if it were happening to them. This same type of engagement is possible when a person plays a video game. While playing, a player's brain is processing the scenario as if it were real. If the game depicts a dangerous or violent situation, the player's bodies react accordingly. Their fight or flight response to that perceived danger is triggered by exposure to intense stimulation and violence in the game. The excessive use of video games can lead to the brain accelerating into a constant state of hyperexcitation. Hyperexcitation can include difficult paying attention, managing emotions and controlling impulses, following directions, and tolerating frustration. Some adults or children have difficulty expressing compassion and creativity and have a lower interest in learning. This can lead to a lack of empathy for others, which can lead to violence. In addition, children who rely on screens and social media to interact with others generally feel more alone than children who interact in person. Chronic hyperexcitation can also have physical symptoms such as decreased immune function, irritability, feeling nervous, depression, and unstable blood sugar levels, causing diabetes in the blood, as we have mentioned the cases before in the beginning. How can gaming become an addiction? What happens to the body? The center in the brain releases dopamine, in response to a pleasurable experience or hyperexcitation, as we've mentioned. If a person experiences hyperexcitation while playing video games, the brain associates the activity with dopamine. The person thus develops a strong impulse to seek the same pleasure over and over again. Dopamine is a powerful neurotransmitter in the brain. It helps maintain people's interests and attention. So it can be difficult for people to walk away from a situation or behavior release dopamine. The more times people experience the behavior, the more dopamine is released, and the harder it is to return to our normal pre-gaming behavior, thus producing addiction. Like tobacco, pay attention, like tobacco, alcohol, or drugs, screen time or video games can become an addiction that damages your health, your relationship, and you can't control it. Some symptoms of addiction may include, which you can analyze in your own life if you have gaming problems, having intense urges to spend time in front of the screen or playing video games, with these impulses blocking other thoughts as well. Spending money on video games or screens, even if you can't afford it. Reducing social or recreational activities due to preferring screen time or video games. Or continue to play video games or practices in screen time even though you know it's causing problems in your life, such as a performance or at school or at work, or letting go of household responsibilities. Showing signs of irritability, anxiety, or anger when forced to stop playing, even for brief periods of time. Or even lying to others about the extent of gaming use. Over time, you need more screen time to get the same level of enjoyment. Negligence to their appearance, including lack of interest in grooming or clothing. Continued overuse of screens can result in long-term or permanent changes in the brain that require extensive behavioral and medical treatment to reverse. Harvard Medical School conducted a study of much acute problems related to video games. In the article, The Health Effects of Playing Too Much, they wrote, gaming injuries. For example, repetitive stress injuries or overuse injuries are injuries that come from activity that involve repetitive use of certain muscles and or tendons to point the pain and inflammation develop. If these injuries are allowed to progress, numbness and weakness may develop, and permanent injuries may occur. Injuries from overuse of the hands and arms are rampant amongst gamers. Protect yourself from damage of chronic inflammation. Science has shown that chronic low-grade inflammation can become a silent killer that contributes to cardiovascular diseases, cancer, type 2 diabetes, and other conditions. A common example is carpal tunnel syndrome, which many gamers develop. Carpal tunnel syndrome, which is often seen in office workers, involves inflammation of a nerve in the wrist, causing pain and numbness. The player's thumb, which was previously called a PlayStation thumb, or a Nintendonitis, or Nintendonitis, when Nintendo was popular, occurs when the tendon that moves the thumb becomes inflamed. The medical term for this is tendinovitis, and it can lead to swelling and limited movement. Players are also at risk of trigger finger or tendinovitis, which is when a finger gets stuck in a bent position due to chronic inflammation. Players may also have tennis elbows, a painful inflammation where the tendon is inserted into the bone on the outside of the elbow. All of this because of the position and intention of a player. According to a study published in the Journal of Clinical Nutrition, a single video game session in healthful male adolescents is associated with a higher food intake regardless of appetite sensations. The proposed mechanisms are that the signs that indicate satiety, fullness, deteriorate, or the mental stress involved with playing video games activates reward centers leading to higher food intake. They're eating. Vision problems are common complaints from players. The most common vision problem is eye strain, which can lead to headaches and lack of concentration. Gambling has been reported to result in seizures. Games have also been associated with the psychological problems. According to the American Psychological Association, internet gaming disorders, with the symbols IGD, is defined as experiencing at least 5 of the following 9 criteria over a 12-month period. I'm going to mention a new criteria. If you have 5, you have this problem. Concern for gaming. Problem with stopping when you're playing. Tolerance. Less of interest in other activities. Loss of relationship, educational or professional opportunities. Gaming to escape or relieve anxiety, guilt or other negative moods. Lack of control. Continues playing despite psychological problems. According to a study in the American Journal of Psychiatry, 0.3% to 1% Americans possibly have an internet gaming disorder. Sleep deprivation, another common gamer's problem, also leads to memory impairment and stress in relationships. This significantly decreases your overall quality for life. Adequate sleep is essential for overall health. Depending on your age, at a minimum, experts advise you to sleep between 7 and 9 hours a day. But if you play well into the night, this is almost impossible. It can be difficult to function normally when you only sleep a couple hours or don't sleep at all. Jason, a video game player who suffered with this, comments, "When I was not playing, I was thinking about playing. When my girlfriend talked to me, it was harder and harder to concentrate. After 20 hours of playing during weekends, I knew I had become addicted again." Since he stopped playing, Jason has found it easier to concentrate and be productive. Dear young people, each person has a limited amount of energy, focus, concentration to use each day. Use yours wisely. On the other hand, the truth is that our society suffers from an epidemic of loneliness, and games can be a vehicle to connect with other online players, including people who would otherwise be difficult to connect with. But in the long run, another truth is that a chronic player loses his social abilities and becomes even more a loner. Vadim, a victim of gaming addiction for 22 years, gave his testimony saying, "At some point, it got so bad that I had to leave college in order to recover. But I couldn't do it for long. I wasn't healthy. I almost had no friends, and thus gaming became a coping mechanism. As a result, I was very depressed and lonely." In conclusion, we see that life is not a game. We must take responsibilities to be successful young people. Otherwise, we are deceiving ourselves. Did you know that similar to the vice of gaming is a habit of excessively watching movies and TV? Be careful, dear youth, that you do not surrender your mind to a fictitious life, illustrating unreal situations, scenes that do not correspond to reality. Most films contain images of violence, fights, horrors, things from the world of evil demons, lies, infidelity in couples, and immoral scenes. Imagine how much negative adrenaline is produced in your body when you see this, or how much images are attached in your mind when you're watching these types of movies. Don't follow the impulse of curiosity. Do not look at what sin stimulates. This damages your mind, your feelings, and leaves marks on your brains that you cannot easily erase. The books of books, the Holy Bible, writes in Psalms 119 verses 37, "Turn away mine eyes from beholding vanity, and quicken thou me in thy way." Also in Psalms 101 verse 3 says, "I will set no wicked thing before mine eyes." Use your energies to your neighbor, to cultivate your talents, to learn and practice a hobby. Either be learning a musical instrument or an art, such as cooking or a healthy sport. Help an elderly person with your youthful strength, and just be a blessing in your youthful years. The more you develop your talents during your youth, the more help they will be in your future life. When you have your own home and a career, you will see that all the effort you have made during your youth was a great blessing. The Holy Bible also says in Philippians 4:8, "Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, if there be any praise, think on these things." It's going to be much easier for you to think of something good when you don't watch movies or video games that damage your mind. Every single thing you sow in your life grows into something. Feed your life with things of use that bring peace and virtues from God. The wise Solomon shared inspiring thoughts that can be found in the Book of Books, the Holy Bible. In Proverbs 14 verse 13, "Even in laughter the heart is sorrowful, and in the end of the mirth is heaviness." Dear young people, be aware of what appears to bring joy in your hearts, but rather bring grief and trouble. The wise Solomon also says in Proverbs 15:13, "A merry heart maketh a cheerful countenance, but by sorrow of the heart the spirit is broken." If gaming leads to anxiety, depression, and other things, then it's time to take a firm decision. You must take great care of what your eyes look at. The prophet Jeremiah writes in the Holy Bible in Jeremiah 9 verse 31, "For death is come into our windows, and is entered into our palaces, to cut off the children from without, and the young men from the streets." What narrates here is the Holy Scriptures is happening to many young people. The windows of our body are our eyes. Many things are entered through there that can lead to death. Not only video games, but also many audio-visual materials that can be pornography, violent, immoral content, which also leads to spiritual death and failure as young people. Dear youth, seek to be more in touch with nature and spend time with other young people, creating a good friendship that can help you to develop healthy and obtain success. If you didn't know about the danger of video games, now you do. And although you didn't know about the danger, the consequences of wrong acts damage your life, your health, and your future. But you can change it today. Don't offend God through a game that instead of relaxing you, destroys your physical and emotional and socially. That's why if you're involved in video games, or watching unhealthy movies, and even more, if you're stuck in the vice of gaming, then it's time for you to take a firm decision. Apart from the advice that has been shared from the different reputable organizations, my advice is that you are in danger of falling into a vice. You must firmly cut off all relationships with the video game, so that you can be freed from this addiction that becomes a slavery. I want to invite you to make a firm decision even if it's not easy. For the sake of your life and for the success of your future, do not go back into gaming anymore. If you've downloaded a game, better delete it. This is a step that will help you in your decision. Tell your friends about your decision to not play. The main step is to recognize that you are in danger, and then to take the decision of giving up this habit that affects your emotional, physical, and social life. Secondly, be firm in your decisions. Do not get carried away by your emotions. Rather, be a young man or woman of principles. If something affects your health, even if it seems pleasant and enjoyable, it's better to distance yourself from it. A successful young person does not let himself be carried away by emotions or by what others will say, but follows firm and will analyze goals. And thirdly, you're not alone in the struggle. There is someone who wants to help you. Remember the beautiful promise of your Creator and God in Isaiah 41 verse 10. Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will strengthen thee, yea, I will help thee, yea, I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness. If you give your life to God and ask Him help, He will be by your side to give you strength and to help you overcoming this gaming vice that has enslaved many. If you want to be successful, young person, then you already know what you must do. Take care of yourself. Life is not a game. Before saying goodbye, I would like to say a prayer for those young people who are in the struggle of vices and who have taken the decision today to change paths in life. For those young people who've taken the decision to be successful youth, let us bow our heads, wherever you may be. I want to pray for you. Our Father, which art in heaven, sanctified and glorified be thy name. Lord, thank you that you've given us opportunity to talk about this recreation, these games that destroying the young people's lives. Lord, you've given them energy, life, a mind, which is big. Like it is affected now by these video games, these traps, these movies that take in images or impulses that are not healthy for the young people. Help the youth be strong in their decision and to depart from these habits which are destroying them, their health, their minds, their relationships with socially, their future. Lord, be you their help that they need. Thank you for your love, for your mercy, and for your promise. Be with the youth which are listening and are listening here, and those are in need. We ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen. Our next topic, we'll talk about the blessing and curse in friendships. This is the key to a successful young person. Don't miss out on our next topic. God bless you.